Part 64. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Dit. Chapter 631. Time passed by minute. At the same time, thousands of chaotic walls on many planes gradually lit up. Words appeared on the chaotic wall. Hiss. How is it possible? The plane ranking of the Xuanhuan plane has improved so much. In front of the chaotic wall, many strong men exclaimed. Hungjun, Pangu, Xianqing Supreme and many other strong men looked at the chaotic wall in front of them with great surprise. It clearly showed that the plane ranking of the Xuanhuan plane had risen to 9th. The Abyss plane was squeezed out of the top 10. The original 9th place fell to 10th place. It's back, the plane ranking of the Xuanhuan plane is back again. Great. Hungjun Pangu and others talked a lot, and some strong men burst into tears. When the Xuanhuan plane was at its peak, the plane ranking was 9th. However, they also knew that the number of strong men in the Xuanhuan plane is far less than that of the past, and the plane ranking depends on Ye Chen to a large extent. Ye Chen himself is strong, and he also has a 10-star system. Being very dependent on a certain strong person will easily lead to a situation where if that strong person dies, the strength of the plane will plummet. Of course, with Ye Chen's current strength, he is not so easy to die. The ranking of the Xuanhuan plane is actually 9th. The Xuanhuan plane is back. There is a 90% chance that Ye Chen has become the master of the Xuanhuan plane. The Light Master and his men look solemn. The ranking of the Xuanhuan plane is somewhat higher than their estimates, which means that the strength of the Xuanhuan plane is stronger than they estimated. The rise of the Xuanhuan plane is a great threat to the Light plane. Saint Lord, we may have to unite with the strong men of other planes to target the Xuanhuan plane together. The Xuanhuan plane may also threaten other planes. Afra said. Theodore said, Master, if we give up obtaining the 10-star system, there will definitely be planes willing to cooperate with us. We, the Light plane, may have to release the potential for war. The strong men of the Light plane spoke one after another. The soaring ranking of the Xuanhuan plane made them all feel a strong pressure. The Lord of Light had a gleam in his eyes. If we can defeat the Xuanhuan plane once, we can defeat it a second time. Let's go. Go back to the Light plane first. It is very likely that Ye Chen has become the master of the Xuanhuan plane. The Lord of Light and his men don't want to enter the Xuanhuan plane at this moment. Even if Hungjun becomes the master, it is still extremely dangerous for them to enter. Afra said, Saint Lord, are we not going to take action on the Xian plane? If we can take down Luo Hanjian and the others, we will have a very heavy bargaining chip. The Lord of Light frowned and said, Shadowless Tianzun was captured by Ye Chen, and the ranking of the Xuanhuan plane has skyrocketed. Where can we find someone again? Besides, it will take time to enter. Ye Chen is likely to open up the Xuanhuan plane and the Xian plane. Let's talk about it then. Afra sighed unwillingly. If she had not been deceived and captured by Ye Chen at the beginning, and waited a few more years, many of their strong men could adapt to the environment of the Xian plane. The Lord of Light said, let's redeem some of our people first. You are too frustrated, we are still in the upper hand. Afra and the others nodded. From the plane ranking, it can be seen that the strength of the Light plane is stronger now. As long as the war does not break out in the Light plane, they will be invincible. Let's go. The Lord of Light and the others left quickly. Red Flame plane. My husband should have succeeded. The ranking of the Xuanhuan plane has improved so much. My husband is very likely to have obtained the last plane token fragment. Luo Hanjian smiled. And Langxiu said in surprise, Sister Hanjian, can we connect the two planes in this way? Then we can go directly there. Luo Hanjian nodded, indeed. But connecting the two planes is not something that can be done overnight. It takes 7 or 8 years, and it will take a lot of time to strengthen it later. Luo Yudi laughed, 7 or 8 years will pass quickly. Luo Hongjian smiled and said, "You try your best to improve your strength. The limit of heaven and earth on the Yanhuang plane is 9 stars. Your current strength is only the early stage of 9 stars. Luo Yudi and her friend's strength is still the early stage of 9 stars, which is related to the environment on the Xian plane. If they were practicing in the Yanhuang plane, they would have reached the strength of the middle stage of 9 stars. Yeah." And Langxiu and her friends nodded. Half a year later, Luo Yudi's eyes lit up, and she sensed a trace of breath. This is the contact breath released by Ye Chen through the plane token. A wisp of Luo Hongjian's breath moved over. In the Yanhuang plane, Ye Chen also smiled. He naturally sensed the slightest breath of the plane released by Luo Hongjian. Now that it is connected, it will be easy to handle next. Ye Chen muttered in his heart. What they have to do now is to continuously inject power to strengthen the connection, and finally open a plane channel between the 2 planes. Only 2 planes that trust each other will do this. Among all the 3,000 planes, there are very few such plane channels, and some plane channels are blocked by both sides. The 2 planes may have had a very good relationship before, but they broke down later. The plane channel has been opened and cannot be cancelled. This situation is very embarrassing for both of them, and it is also a potential threat. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Ye Chen and Luo Hongjian have been silently strengthening the connection between the 2 planes. In the 6th year, a large light gate appeared on the Tiandao city side. Such a light gate also appeared in the July universe of the Xian plane. And the light gate appeared in the original Tianyang imperial city. Finally, the plane gate has appeared. Ye Chen and Luo Hongjian both smiled. Neither of them let any creature pass through the plane gate. The plane gate is still very fragile now. If it is not good, the plane gate will collapse. Another year has passed. The plane light gate looks much more solid. "Sister Hongjian, let me try." Nanan said eagerly, "Her name is Zi Nanan." "No." Luo Hongjian refused. With the strength of the plane gate now, plus Zi Nanan's weak strength, she should have no problem teleporting to the Yanhuang plane. But it was the first time to teleport. How could Luo Hongjian let Zi Nanan take the risk? Zi Nanan said flatteringly, "Sister Hongjian, there will be no problem. The first teleportation between 2 planes is a very meaningful thing. Can't we just find someone to teleport to?" Luo Hongjian frowned. Shu Guifei said, "Hongjian, what is the success rate of teleportation now?" Luo Hongjian thought for a while and said, "It should be close to 100%. Shu Guifei smiled and said, "Then let Nanan teleport." This is indeed a very meaningful thing. It's not good to just find someone. Nanan is not a child now. If something really happens, her cultivation is low, Ye Chen should have a way to revive her. Zixiao Palace Master also nodded. Zi Nanan is growing up, and they can't always treat her as a child. There is not even a 1% risk. If this risk can't be taken, how can Zi Nanan become a strong person in the future? Yeah. Zi Nanan shouted excitedly. Luo Hongjian said helplessly, "Nanan, then you should be careful." Zi Nanan nodded repeatedly, "Sister Hongjian, what do you want to say to your brother-in-law? You can record it in the jade slip and I will take it over." Luo Hongjian and the others quickly gave Zi Nanan a jade slip. Zi Nanan put away the jade slip and immediately rushed to the plane light gate. The plane light gate burst out with dazzling light, and Zi Nanan's figure disappeared. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Di. Chapter 632. Yanhuang Plain, Tiandao City. The plane light gate also burst out with dazzling light, and Zi Nanan's figure appeared. Brother-in-law. When Zi Nanan saw Ye Chen, she immediately rushed towards Ye Chen happily. "Nanny, why did Hongjian and the others let you come over?" Ye Chen said in surprise. Zi Nanan giggled and said, Sister Hanjian didn't let me come over, but my father and mother agreed. I'm not a child anymore. Sister Hanjian also agrees. I am the first to pass through the plane gate, he. Brother-in-law, I feel much weaker here. From the Red Flame Plain to the Yanhuang Plain, Xuanhuan felt that her strength had been suppressed dozens of times. And before the two plains are connected, if she enters the Yanhuang Plain, her strength will probably be suppressed 400 to 500 times. Fellow Daoist Hongjun, fellow Taoist Pangu, let me introduce to you, Xuanhuan, my wife's sister. She is still a child. Yechen smiled. Xuanhuan said softly, Brother Hongjun, Brother Pangu, I am not a child. Don't listen to my brother-in-law's nonsense. Ha ha. Hongjun and Pangu laughed. They could see that Xuanhuan was indeed still a child. Nanny, here in the Yanhuang Plain, if your brother-in-law is not here and you need help, you can come to us, and we will definitely help you. That's right. Hongjun and Pangu said with a smile. Xuanhuan's cultivation level is still very low, but she is also the younger sister of Luo Hanjian, Luo Yudi, and Xuanhuan, so her status is not ordinary. Thank you, Brother Hongjun, thank you, Brother Pangu. Xuanhuan is sweet and authentic. Yechen breathed a sigh of relief. While he was talking just now, he checked Xuanhuan and found that there was nothing wrong with Xuanhuan being teleported through the plane light gate. Nanny, you go to the time cube to practice, and you should seize the time to adapt to the environment here. Then you can teleport back to the Red Flame Plane. Yechen smiled. Brother-in-law, please take me around here when the time comes. I don't want to go back immediately. Xuanhuan said dully. Good. Yechen nodded and agreed. Soon Xuanhuan entered the time cube, and time accelerated 100 million times. He is the master of the plane, and the two planes are now connected. It won't take long for Xuanhuan to adapt to the environment in the Yanhuang Plain. Fellow Taoist Yechen, what level of experts can pass now? Pangu asked. Yechen smiled and said, a 6-star immortal level expert should be able to pass, but only one will be able to pass within a certain period of time. The plane light gate needs to continue to be strengthened. Hongjun and Pangu nodded, not so anxious for the time being. Fellow Daoist Hongjun, fellow Taoist Pangu, you should go about your business first. Yechen said. Hongjun and Pangu nodded and left. Another half year has passed, and Xuanhuan has adapted to the environment of the Yanhuang Plain. She played in Tiandao City and then returned to the Red Flame Plain. On this side, Yechen felt that a 7-star immortal level strongman had entered the Yanhuang Plain, and the aura of this strongman was somewhat familiar. However, Yechen did not take action to ask this strong man to go to Tiandao City immediately. Master Yechen. 2 days later, the 7-star immortal powerhouse who entered arrived at Tiandao City. This strong man is the 7-star immortal strong man who entered the light plane before. Lord Arthur. Fellow Taoist Arthur, when you enter at this time, it is the Lord of Light and others who have come over and want to use the system to trade your strong men from the light plane. Yechen smiled lightly. Lord Arthur said in a deep voice, Master Yechen, Lord Master is indeed here. But instead of making a deal with you, I have to first make sure that Lord Holyword and the others are safe. Yechen said with a smile, they don't have any problems for the time being, but if you delay it any longer, their problems will be a bit big. As he spoke, Yechen made a thought and made the Holy Word Supreme and others appear. Holy Word Supreme and their cultivation have been suppressed a lot. Of course, even if they are not suppressed, Holy Word Supreme and the others cannot escape from Yechen's grasp. The mansion where Yechen and the others are now is transformed into the Yanhuang Eternal City. It is not easy for the Holy Word Supreme and the others to escape from the Yanhuang Eternal City. Lord Holy Word, are you okay? Lord Arthur saluted quickly. Asked quickly. The Holy Word Supreme shook his head slightly. His treasure was lost in the system, but the rest was fine. Give you some time and you can have a nice chat. Yachen smiled. System, consume a certain amount of system power and sign in 3 times. Yachen said in his mind. Yachen hasn't signed in for the past 7 or 8 years, and he doesn't like ordinary things now. Now that they have accumulated luck for so long, and the interval has been so long, the 2 planes are connected, and the Lord of Light and the others are also approaching the Yanhuang plane. You should be able to sign in and get top goodies. Sign in successfully. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the 9-star perfection level Pure World Sunflower. Yachen's eyes lit up. Nice one. The 9-star perfect level purifying sunflower is directly equivalent to them having one more 9-star perfect level powerhouse, which is extremely good. Sign in successfully. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the 9-star perfection level enhancement token. The sign-in is successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the 9-star immortal level sign-in point. Yachen was extremely surprised. 2 more great rewards. The 9-star perfect level enhancement token can be used by Luo Hanjian, which can upgrade her skills, or Phoenix Hanjian to the 9-star perfect level. The 9-star immortal level sign-in point is very useful. He now has 9-star immortal level sign-in points in the light plane and the Yanhuang plane. With this, he can be directly teleported to the light plane or the Yanhuang plane. Host, there is a message I need to tell you. The voice of the system suddenly sounded in Yachen's mind. Yachen smiled and said, System, what message do you want to tell me? The system said, Host, you can sign in to get all kinds of treasures. On the one hand, the system itself has powerful energy. On the other hand, the system can also absorb powerful power from heaven and earth. It has accumulated a lot over the long years. Yachen's face changed slightly, and the system felt a little bad when he said this. Host, you should also know that you can sign in for 3 9-star level rewards every few years, which is impossible to last. If so, after hundreds of millions of years, wouldn't you have hundreds of millions of 9-star level treasures? Yachen sighed. He had long anticipated that this day would come. It was indeed as the system said, it was unrealistic to sign in like this to get benefits. System, your body is hollowed out, weak. How can I replenish you? Yachen said. The system said, devour the rest of the system to replenish strength, and wait for time. The system can absorb strength from the world. In addition, devouring the corpses of the strong can also replenish strength, but devouring the corpses of the strong is not as good as devouring the rest of the system. Yachen nodded slightly. In this case, it is still necessary to trade with the Lord of Light. System, thank you. Don't worry, I will replenish you well in the future. Yachen smiled. You still have to sign in after signing in. But you have to find a better opportunity to sign in the future. The power of the system must not be wasted in vain. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Dit. Chapter 633. Yachen, Lord Master agrees to trade with you, but the transaction method still needs to be discussed. Lord Arthur said in a deep voice. Yachen said calmly, it's still the same transaction method as last time. If you send all the systems in, I will let the Holy Word Supreme and others go. The oath made last time is still valid. If you don't want to trade, forget it. I won't force you. Maybe the Holy Word Supreme and others can join us in the Yanhuang plane if they have it. Lord Arthur had a communication system and he communicated with the Lord of Light. Yachen, the Master said that you need to summon him to communicate with him for confirmation. Lord Arthur said in a deep voice. Okay. Yachen hummed softly. He quickly communicated with the Lord of Light for confirmation. Lord Arthur left the Yanhuang Plain. Half an hour later he entered the Yanhuang Plain again. Ye Chen, all the systems needed to redeem us powerful people from the light plane are here. I hope you will act as promised. Lord Arthur said in a deep voice. Ye Chen quickly asked his system to be checked. There are indeed many systems in the treasure that Lord Arthur took. Among them, there are 14 9-star level systems. Ye Chen said softly, I only have 6 9-star level experts in the light plane in my hands. 12 9-star level systems are enough. A 7 or 8-star level system doesn't need so many. Some people are already dead if they disobey. The Lord of Light and the others provided a system of 14 9-star levels. They probably wanted to redeem the shadowless heavenly Lord as well. How could such a good thing happen? Receive. Ye Chen quickly transferred 12 9-star level systems and many 7 and 8-star level systems to Yanhuang Eternal City. Take the rest back and follow the agreement. I don't want any more from you. Ye Chen said softly. He said and threw a space ring to Arthur Tianzun. The holy word supreme and they are all in it. Farewell. Arthur Tianzun took the space ring and left quickly. Not long after, Holy Word Supreme and the others were taken back by Arthur Tianzun. Lord. The Holy Word Supreme and others soon saw the Lord of Light, and they all saluted. The Lord of Light and others quickly inspected them and found no problems. But the Lord of Light didn't know one thing. The Holy Word Supreme and several 9-star immortal level experts had revealed many secrets of the light plane. Everyone reveals a lot. If they don't tell them, all that awaits them is death. Although they are still loyal to the Lord of Light, if they are asked to sacrifice themselves to keep some secrets, they simply cannot do it. If they tell some secrets, they can be redeemed and live their lives as usual. If they don't tell them, if they die, their relatives may die too. As the top powerhouses, Holy Word Supreme and others possess a lot of resources. If they die, their families will not be able to keep those resources. The interior of the plane of light is not monolithic. Just come back. Let's return to the light plane first. The Lord of Light said in a deep voice. He wasn't in a great mood. Holy Word Supreme and others have lost their treasures and systems, and they have to be given a lot of resources to restore their strength. They have already paid a huge price in exchange for the Holy Word Supreme. There are so many powerful systems, but the plane of light itself does not have them. The Lord of Light has made deals with several other planes. Yes, Master Lord. Holy Word Supreme, they all said in unison. In the Yanhuang plane, Ye Chen quickly gave Pangu, Hongjun, and Xianqing Supreme each a 9-star system. This can improve their combat power a lot. There are also 9 9-star level systems. Luo Yudi and Shang Guanyan each have one. Palace Master Xiao and Concubine Shu can give them one. Zi Nanan's current cultivation level is still too low. My parents don't need it for the time being. Their cultivation level is too low, and the 9-star level system is too strong for them. Fellow Daoist Hongjun, fellow Daoist Pangu, there are 10 8-star level systems here, you can allocate them. Ye Chen took out a treasure and said. Many of the powerful people in the Yanhuang Plain had powerful systems in the past, but then the Yanhuang Plain was defeated and their systems were all taken away. Hongjun smiled and shook his head, fellow Taoist Ye Chen, give it to them yourself. Pangu nodded, yes, this is better. Ye Chen personally gave it to Ye Chen. Those strong men were grateful to Ye Chen. Hongjun and Pangu did not want to compete with Ye Chen. Okay. Ye Chen nodded, please help us decide on the candidate. Pangu and Hongjun quickly discussed and determined 10 people. Ye Chen gave them 10 8-star systems, and let them enter the time cube to recognize their master under accelerated time. Systems, these systems are for you. You just devour it. After you devour it, evolve well. Ye Chen said in his mind. He kept some systems, but there were still many systems he took out for his own system to devour. Host, are you sure? These systems are swallowed up. If it is used for sign-in, it will be able to sign in a few times. If the system evolves, it cannot be used for sign-in. The system said. Yachen chuckled and said, System, evolve. Although signing in to obtain treasures is important, your evolution and improvement are equally important. As you evolve and improve, you will gain more power from heaven and earth in the same time. Devouring those systems for sign-in has greater short-term benefits. The power of devouring is used to improve the system, and the long-term benefits will be greater. Good host. Yachen's system was silent for a while and said. 10 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Pangu and the others have already completely recognized their own system, and Yachen's system has finally completed its evolution. It only took half a year to devour those systems. Yachen's system took 9.5 years to evolve under a 100 million-fold time acceleration. This evolution took much longer than any previous one. Host, good morning. The pleasant voice sounded in Yachen's mind. There was confusion in Yachen's eyes. His system had always had a neutral voice, but now it had a girlish voice. System. Yachen said tentatively. Host, it's me. I have added gender to my evolution this time. From now on, I am a girl. You have to be gentler to me. Yachen and the system said softly. At the same time, the appearance of a 17 or 18-year-old girl appeared in Yachen's mind. System, can you put on all your clothes? Yachen felt a little dry. The current image of his system is very good looking. He is a normal man and has spent a lot of time apart from Luo Hanjian and the others. Host, do you think any adjustments need to be made? No. No need. Hurry up and put on your clothes. Yachen said quickly. Why did my original aloof system become like this? It's easy on the eyes, but it's deadly. Hee, I also think my current image is good. The girl said in Yachen's mind. Gorgeous clothes appeared on her body and she looked beautiful. Yachen secretly breathed a sigh of relief. After putting on clothes, the lethality of his system was somewhat reduced. System, why has there been such a change? Yachen asked. Host, because of evolution. The system is inanimate, but after reaching a certain level, it can have life characteristics. There's more evolution this time. Host, I gave myself a name. From now on, my name is Ling-Er. Host, you can just call me Ling-Er. Yachen's system said cheerfully. Yachen nodded slightly. Ling-Er laughed and said, Host, I have improved a lot this time. I can devour power from heaven and earth much faster. In the long run, you will definitely make money as a host. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Dit. Chapter 634. After the system upgrade was completed, Yachen arrived outside the time cube. The plane light gate is already very stable. Luo Hanjian and the others only have an 8-star level of cultivation. They should have no problem teleporting from the Red Flame Plane to the Yanhuang Plane. Lord. Yachen arrived at the plane light door, and the 2 strong men guarding him quickly saluted. These 2 strong men are not low in cultivation. One has a 7-star immortality level, and the other has an 8-star immortality level. Yachen nodded slightly. He looked at the 8-star immortal powerhouse and said, Master Qinjian, I'd like to trouble you. You can teleport through the plane light gate. Master Qinjian's 8-star immortal level cultivation. Hearing what Yachen said, he quickly said, Master Lord, please don't be so polite. I'll teleport over right now. With the current situation of the light gate in the plane, Master Qinjian knew that the risk of being transported to the Red Flame Plane was extremely low. He originally only had 6-star immortal strength, but after receiving a lot of resources from Yachen, he returned to 8-star immortal strength. Ye Chen also gave him the 8-star immortal system. Not to mention that the risk is extremely low. Even if the risk is relatively high, Master Qinjian will not disobey Ye Chen's order if Ye Chen asks him to teleport there. Give this to my wife Luo Hanjian. In addition, find out the current situation of the Red Flame Plane. Ye Chen said. He said and gave Master Qinjian a jade slip with a seal on it. Yes, Lord Dominator. Master Qinjian collected the jade slips and immediately rushed towards the plane light gate. The plane light door flashed, and the figure of Master Qinjian disappeared. Soon he came out of the plane light door smoothly from the Red Flame Plane. Luo Hanjian and the others immediately discovered Master Qinjian. Who are you? Luo Hanjian and An Langxiu were not practicing now, so they appeared in front of Master Qinjian instantly. Madams, I am Master Qinjian from the Yanhuang Plain. Lord, let me come here. He gave me this. Master Qinjian quickly took out the jade slips. Luo Hanjian raised her hand, and the jade slip flew into her hand. The seal did not stop her consciousness, and her consciousness immediately entered the jade slip. Thanks for your hard work. How did it feel when you were teleported? Is the transmission channel unstable? Luo Hanjian asked. Master Qinjian said quickly, back to Madam, I feel pretty good. The teleportation channel is very stable. Characters in the late 8-star stage can definitely teleport. There shouldn't be any problem with the 8-star peak. Luo Hanjian and An Langxiu's eyes lit up. Luo Hanjian is now at the peak of 8 stars. An Langxiu and the others were in the late 8-star stage. The improvement speed here in the Red Flame Plane is much slower, otherwise Luo Hanjian would have reached 8-star perfection, and An Langxiu and the others would also have reached 8-star peak. An Langxiu smiled and said, Sister Hanjian, how about I teleport directly? My husband will be alone over there, which is a bit pitiful. Luo Hanjian thought for a while and nodded slightly. Ye Chen asked Master Qinjian to come over to test the plane passage. Since the plane passage is stable, An Langxiu and the others must be allowed to pass through. As for herself, Luo Hanjian knew that she couldn't get over it just yet. She is the ruler of the Red Flame Plane. After they have all left, the strong men from the light plane can easily enter the Red Flame Plane. Two ladies, Lord Master asked me to collect the information here and bring it over. He didn't say let you go. Qingyan is the master of humanity. Luo Hanjian smiled and said, if the plane channel is not very stable, then it can only be like this. Now the plane channel is very stable. Master Qinjian, just adapt to the environment here. Master Qinjian hesitated and nodded. Since Luo Hanjian said so, he would just obey. After adapting well to the environment here, when the Red Flame Plane needs help, he can fully display his strength here. Although the two planes have now established a channel, fusion is a long-term process. Instead of letting An Langxiu teleport immediately, Luo Hanjian and the others waited for 3 days. In this way, the influence transmitted by Master Qinjian can be eliminated. Sister An Lan, if I go there, my cultivation will be a little weaker. I'm weaker. Lu Qianqian and Luo Yudi spoke. An Langxiu smiled and said, we are all in the late 8-star stage. If you can pass safely, I will definitely be able to pass safely. After saying that, An Langxiu rushed directly to the plane light door. Buzz. Space fluctuations appeared, and the plane light gate burst out with dazzling light. Soon, An Langxiu was teleported to the Yanhuang plane, and her strength was suppressed a lot. The initial 9-star combat power was suppressed to only 7-star perfection. What a nice view. What a beauty. Don't talk nonsense, she is An Langxiu, one of the wives of Lord Master. There were many people in the area where the plane light gate was, and they immediately saw An Langxiu. An Langxiu's appearance and temperament are top-notch. Standing there, overwhelming the country and the city, with unparalleled splendor. An Lan. Ye Chen is not practicing in the time cube now. He is in the Yanhuang Eternal City. En Langxiu appears and he immediately senses En Langxiu's aura. En Langxiu's eyes lit up. She immediately came to Ye Chen's side and threw herself into Ye Chen's arms. Husband. It's been a long time since they last met, and En Langxiu and the others have been missing Ye Chen. En Lan, how did you get here? Is the space stable? Ye Chen hugged En Langxiu and said, and he disappeared the next second. Without waiting for En Langxiu to answer, Ye Chen kissed En Langxiu's little mouth first. A few minutes later, Ye Chen let go of En Langxiu. En Langxiu blushed and said, Husband, the plane channel is relatively stable, and a strong man with 8-star peak cultivation should be able to teleport. Except for Sister Hanjian, the few of us are only 8-star late cultivation, so there should be no problem teleporting here. Just teleport one every 3 to 5 days. Ye Chen nodded slightly. It was about the same as he expected. Is the Xian plane okay? Is there any trouble in the Guangming plane? En Langxiu shook her head, we didn't find anything unusual. That's good. Ye Chen arranged for a person with a lower cultivation to teleport over, informed Luo Hanjian and the others of the situation here, and asked Lu Qianqian and the others to come over every 5 days. As for Luo Hanjian, she could only wait. 20 days later, in addition to Luo Hanjian, Lu Qianqian, Shang Guanyan, Luo Yudi, Zi Lanyan, and the other 4 were also teleported to Tiandao City. Ye Chen played with everyone for a few days, and then En Langxiu and the others entered the time cube to practice. Luo Hanjian is the eldest sister, and she didn't come, so Ye Chen naturally wouldn't take En Langxiu and the others to see his parents right now. In less than half a year, En Langxiu and the others adapted to the environment on the Xian plane. They found that the speed of practice on the Yanhuang plane was much faster than that on the Xian plane. In addition to the 200 million times time acceleration of the time cube, their practice speed here was several times faster. 5 years passed unknowingly. En Langxiu and the others, En Langxiu and Zi Lanyan's cultivation broke through to the peak of 8 stars. Luo Yudi and the others' cultivation did not reach the peak of 8 stars, but they also made a lot of progress. The space channel should be stable enough. Chang'e, go back and call your sister Hanjian over. Ye Chen smiled. He planned to take Luo Hanjian and the other girls back to see his parents. Even if Luo Hanjian came, as long as she didn't stay for long, it wouldn't be a big problem. The chances of the bright plane coming during this period were low. Yet, Luo Yudi's eyes lit up. They also hoped to go back and see Ye Chen's parents as soon as possible. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Di. Chapter 635. A few days passed, and Luo Hanjian was transferred to the Qian plane smoothly. 5 years ago, there was no problem with the teleportation of the 8-star peak experts. Nowadays, Luo Hanjian is still only at the peak of 8-star cultivation. Husband. Luo Hanjian said happily when she saw Ye Chen. Beauty. Ye Chen and Luo Hanjian disappeared instantly. Luo Yudi hasn't teleported over yet, and he happens to be accompanying Luo Hanjian. 5 days, 2 days in bed. Brother-in-law, are we going to meet our parents? Luo Yudi said with some expectation and some nervousness. Ye Chen told them some information about the earth. They now know that calling Ye Chen's parents is called mom and dad, not mom and dad. Ye Chen nodded. Luo Hanjian looked a little nervous. Ye Chen smiled and said, Hanjian, don't worry. My parents have been looking forward to me bringing my wives back. This time I brought back 6 of them. They must be very beautiful. Luo Hanjian said angrily, Husband, are you sure they weren't scared? En Langxiu said weakly, Husband, why don't you take Sister Hanjian back first, and we can go back to see our parents later? Ye Chen shook his head. En Langxiu and the others are all his women. Since I plan to take them back to meet their parents, I must take them all back at once. Xuanhuan said, husband, if this is not the case, we will follow you back to Earth first. Sister Hanjian will go back first, and we will go back later. Yechen said amusedly, Lanyan, are you scared too? Don't worry, my parents are easy to talk to. Besides, you are all immortal level experts, so what are you afraid of? Luo Yudi rolled her eyes and said, brother-in-law, can we still beat our parents? What's the use of our 8-star immortal level cultivation? Yechen said, anyway, you don't have to worry blindly, let's go. After letting Luo Hanjian and the others enter the space treasure, Yechen quickly took Luo Hanjian and the others to the space outside the Earth. Wives, this is the Earth. Yechen smiled. It's beautiful. Why is it called Earth? It seems like most of it is water, so it should be called water polo. Chang Le is right. Luo Hanjian and the others spoke one after another. After admiring it for a while, Yechen took Luo Hanjian and the others to the street. They haven't changed their appearance, but in the eyes of passers-by, their looks are not that amazing, just about the level of school beauties. This has attracted the attention of many people. One alone is more attractive, but if 6 of them are gathered together, it is impossible not to attract attention. Old husband, let's go buy some gifts. What if my parents don't like the gifts we bring? Luo Hanjian said. En Langxiu and the others nodded quickly. Yechen smiled and said, Hanjian, don't worry, the gifts you brought are very good, my parents will definitely like them. Honey, would you like to go buy a gift? Luo Hanjian said a little coquettishly. Hiss. Yechen took a deep breath. He could now bear Luo Yudi's coquettishness, and Luo Hanjian's coquettishness would more than double his lethality. Good. Yechen nodded. Luo Hanjian and the others can do whatever they want. Anyway, he made the current flow of time on Earth slow down 100 times. Even if they were here for a year, the outside world would only pass by a little more than 3 days. There is plenty of time. Husband, let's take a car there to adapt to the life of ordinary people. Luo Hanjian said. Yechen nodded. He had to get used to it when he came back. Walk. Yechen took Luo Hanjian and the others to the roadside. Parked on the side of the road was a car that looked high-end and classy. This car wasn't here just now. Yechen had turned it into a space battleship. Brother-in-law, don't use your abilities. You are an ordinary person now. Luo Yudi said coquettishly. Yechen sighed softly, there are 7 of us, can't we go in 2 cars? I won't use my ability later, okay, hurry up and get in the car. Luo Hanjian and the others all got in the car. Yechen started the car and left. The most evil rich man. You can take 6 beauties by yourself without worrying about kidney failure. Is this the happiness of rich people? Some people around him complained. Driving the car, Yechen drove forward slowly, while Luo Hanjian and the others looked out the window with interest. They have been to many worlds, including the technological world. We have visited many worlds like Earth. But those worlds have never been so attractive to them. Because this is the world where Yechen once lived. Not long after, Yechen and the others arrived at a high-end shopping mall, and Luo Hanjian and the others immediately started browsing the stores one by one with great enthusiasm. 2 hours later, Luo Hanjian and the others are still shopping. Yechen felt that bringing them here to buy things might be a wrong decision. Hanjian, how long do you want to go shopping? Yechen asked. Luo Hanjian said softly, honey, don't worry, we haven't been shopping for long. Let's do this, you go over there, sit down and rest for a while, we'll find you later. Yechen shook his head. He found a chair, sat down, and took out his cell phone from his pocket. When the phone was turned on, many messages suddenly appeared. Everyone, don't worry, You're still alive. Unable to contact him, several classmates sent him messages, and Ye Chen simply became a bubble in the group. Missing people are back, everyone applauds. Brother Chen, why do you disappear again and again? Ye Chen, do you remember Su Dandan from the next class? She is not married yet. I heard that you seem to be rich and asked for your contact information. A lot of information quickly appeared in the group. Su Dandan's information appeared in Ye Chen's mind. She was the class beauty of the class next door, and she was naturally pretty. At that time, he was also a top figure in the class, so they knew each other well. But Ye Chen had an average impression of Su Dandan. Because he was pretty, Su Dandan was more picky. There was actually a time when he had thoughts about Su Dandan. The result was flatly rejected by Su Dandan. Almost 30 and still not married. It's a matter of picking and choosing, and I'm left with the choice. Ye Chen shook his head secretly. Chu Feng, buddy, I have a wife now, don't give me your contact information blindly, or your 6 sisters-in-law will beat you up. Ye Chen sent the message with a faint smile on his face. 6. Ye Chen, you don't have to pay taxes if you brag. Brother Chen, you are lost. You are no longer the same Brother Chen you were back then. Everyone, calm down. Ye Chen said before that he is the returned immortal emperor. Isn't it normal to have 6 wives? He. The group was very lively. But no one believed Ye Chen at all. The immortal emperor returns. 6 wives. Nonsense. At this moment, a message suddenly appeared in the group. Ye Chen, are you at Tianyuan Mall? Su Dandan just sent me a message saying that he saw you. Tata. Ye Chen heard the sound of high heels. Ye Chen. A slightly familiar voice sounded, and Ye Chen raised his head. Sure enough, it was Su Dandan. I haven't seen him for several years, and Su Dandan has changed a lot. Her appearance is still online, not too bad, but it gives Ye Chen the impression that she is more shrewd and powerful. Su Dandan, long time no see. Ye Chen smiled lightly. With his status, he would not be able to ridicule Su Dandan and lose his standing. Ye Chen, it's been a long time indeed. I didn't expect that we would meet each other even though we haven't seen each other. Maybe this is fate. Su Dandan said with bright eyes. She secretly checked Ye Chen and found out that Ye Chen's family actually bought 2 villas. Not to mention anything else, the 2 villas together were worth tens of millions. Ye Chen must have made a fortune. We may not be destined, and my wives don't agree. Ye Chen smiled lightly. Luo Hongjian and the others noticed what was going on here and walked over. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Did. Chapter 636. Su Dandan was stunned when she saw Luo Hongjian and the others. Even if she was much more restrained, Luo Hongjian and the others were much more beautiful than her. She couldn't compare to Luo Hongjian and the others at her peak. Hubby, did you meet a friend? Hubby, how about this dress of mine? Hubby, she is. Luo Hongjian and the others spoke one after another, and Su Dandan was completely confused. Ye Chen smiled and said, it's just an acquaintance I knew before, not a friend. Su Dandan, we'll leave first. Su Dandan nodded woodenly. She felt like she had received a 60,000-point critical hit. Ye Chen naturally didn't care what Su Dandan thought, and Luo Hongjian and the others didn't care either. This was just a small episode. Another 2 hours passed, and Luo Hongjian and the others finally bought the things. At home, Ye Xingguo and the others had already prepared the meal. With the cultivation of the Jindan level, Ye Chen's mother Xuanhuan's cooking skills have greatly improved, and the chefs of 5-star hotels may not be able to compare with her. Why hasn't this kid come back yet? It should be soon. Yezingguo and Xuanhuan were talking. Not long after, they heard the sound of a car, and they immediately opened the door and went outside. Seeing Yechen and Luo Hongjian and the other 6 girls get out of the car, Yezingguo and the others were stunned. Luo Hongjian and the others no longer concealed their looks. The beauty that overwhelms the whole country, the beauty that makes fish sink to the bottom of leaves, and the beauty that makes the moon hide and the flowers blush are not enough to describe Luo Hongjian and the others. I'm afraid that no fairy in the world can compare to them. Son, she, they. Xuanhuan said in a daze. After all, they have the cultivation of the golden core level, and their ability to withstand is much stronger than that of ordinary people. Xuanhuan and the others woke up after a few seconds. But even though they were awake, they were still shocked. Yechen said with a smile, "Dad, Mom, haven't you been urging me to bring my wife home? Now I brought her back for you. All 6 of them. Luo Hongjian, En Langxiu, Lu Qianqian, Luo Yudi, Shang Guanyan, Zi Lanyan." Yechen's parents, who were already shocked by Luo Hongjian's and her friends' looks, were stunned again when they heard Yechen say this. All 6 of them. "Dad, Mom, hello." Luo Hongjian and the other 6 girls said in unison. "Hello." Yezingguo and Xuanhuan said stupidly. Yechen's mind moved, and a trace of power flowed into Yezingguo and his body. He quickly made Yezingguo and his friends reach the level of Yuanying. With the improvement of their cultivation, Yezingguo and his friends' ability to bear increased a little. "Come in quickly. Yechen, you stinky boy, you didn't even say there were 6 of them. I'm afraid the dishes you prepared are not enough." Xuanhuan said hurriedly. Luo Hongjian and the others quickly entered the villa. Fortunately, they had moved to a new house. If it was the original house, it would definitely be crowded. "Hongjian, sit down. Have you really married this brat Yechen?" Xuanhuan asked Luo Hongjian and the others to sit down. Luo Hongjian nodded gently, "Mom, we are indeed married. Is it possible that Yechen relied on his high cultivation level to force you to follow him?" Xuanhuan said. Yechen rolled his eyes secretly. Luo Hongjian and the others shook their heads quickly. "If he bullies you in the future, you can tell us too. Even if his cultivation level is high, we can teach him a lesson." Yezingguo said in a deep voice. "Thank you, Dad." Luo Hongjian and the others said in unison. Yezingguo felt very happy. Xuanhuan said, "Yechen, this brat, said he is the returned immortal emperor. Is he really the returned immortal emperor? You are all as beautiful as fairies." "No, fairies can't be as beautiful as you." Yechen said with a smile, "Mom, in fact, I am more than one immortal emperor. I killed the little immortal emperor with a flick of my finger without any effort." Xuanhuan rolled her eyes at Yechen, "You are so amazing, are you still a god? I think you are crazy. Go out with your dad and buy some more vegetables." Yechen and Yezingguo went out. "Son, do you want to have another wedding with Hongjian? But there are 6 of them, and you can't marry them all at the same time." Yezingguo frowned. Yechen thought about it. In fact, it would be nice to have another wedding. He had a formal wedding with Luo Hongjian and Zi Lanyan, but he didn't have a formal wedding with En Langxiu and the others. The wedding with Luo Hongjian was not him marrying Luo Hongjian, but Luo Hongjian looking for the emperor and queen. "Dad, let's have a wedding. I'll marry them all together. After the wedding, I'll modify the memories of the others." Yechen smiled. "Will there be any problems doing this?" Yezingguo said. Yechen shook his head, "Dad, don't worry, my current strength is much stronger than you think, there won't be any problems." After a lot of careful preparation, 2 months later, Yechen gave Luo Hongjian and the others a grand wedding. At the wedding, many people were stunned. There were 6 brides. And each one was so beautiful. But after the wedding, their memories of this aspect disappeared completely. There was no news on the internet. After the wedding, Ye Chen took Luo Hongjian and the others to travel to many places on the earth and had a good honeymoon. Mom and Dad, we have other things to do, so we'll leave first. Ye Chen said. Luo Hongjian and the others also said goodbye to Xuanhuan, Ye Xingguo and the others. Be careful yourself. Have babies soon. Ye Xingguo and Xuanhuan. Ye Chen, Luo Hongjian, and the other 6 girls disappeared instantly. They had other things going on. Now is not the time to completely relax and enjoy it. Tiandao City. When Ye Chen returned, he sent a message to Hongjun and Pangu, and they soon arrived in front of Ye Chen. Both of them looked a little solemn. Fellow Taoist Hongjun, fellow Taoist Pangu, what happened? Ye Chen asked. The expressions on Hongjun and Pangu's faces meant that something must have happened, and it was not a trivial matter. They have only been on the earth for more than half a year, and only 2 days have passed outside. Something happened just in the past 2 days. Hongjun said, fellow Taoist Ye Chen, something did happen, but it was not a particularly urgent matter, so we did not notify you immediately. Fellow Daoist Ye Chen, from the light plane, has established an alliance with the 5th-ranked beast god plane, the 7th-ranked Senluo plane, and the abyss plane. Ye Chen's eyes showed surprise. When they establish an alliance, they are not afraid of angering the 1st and 2nd planes. Ye Chen said doubtfully. Among the 3,000 planes, Plane 1 and Plane 2 are the only ones that exist. The strength of the light plane is much worse than that of the 2nd plane. However, the light plane combined with the 5th plane, the 7th plane, and the abyss plane that has now fallen to 11, may not be weaker than the 2nd plane. Pangu said in a deep voice, the 4-party alliance they established directly shows that they are only targeting our Yanhuang plane and the Red Flame plane. As long as the Yanhuang plane and the Red Flame plane fall, the 4 sides alliance will be disbanded. Ye Chen frowned secretly. The leader of Guangming cult was a bit ungrateful. Nowadays, the strength of the light plane will definitely not be weaker than theirs. In this case, the leader of the light actually wants to form a 4-party alliance. Hongjun said, fellow Taoist Ye Chen, back then there were strong men from other planes who secretly took advantage of the situation. There were probably strong men from the beast god plane and the Senluo plane. Ye Chen nodded slightly. Pangu frowned and said, the plane of light can win over allies, but we can't do it now. The situation is not favorable for us. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Di. Chapter 637. The plane of light has been ranked 3rd for a long time, so there must be planes with good connections. The Yanhuang plane has declined for 100,000 epochs. Even the planes with which we had a good relationship in the past must have faded away long ago. Even in order to clear the relationship with the Yanhuang plane, the planes that had a good relationship back then may have suppressed the Yanhuang plane. In addition, the light plane strikes first and establishes a 4-party alliance. How can ordinary planes dare to form an alliance with the Yanhuang plane? Hongjun said in a deep voice, fellow Taoist Ye Chen, when they targeted the Yanhuang plane, they did not establish a military alliance. Now the power against our Yanhuang plane will be stronger. Hongjun and Pangu both had worried looks in their eyes. Could it be that the Yanhuang plane is going to be beaten down again? This time, as long as the Yanhuang plane is beaten down, it will definitely be beaten to death. Even if doing so will be condemned by many planes, they will do it. Fellow Daoist Hongjun, fellow Taoist Pangu, although the situation is not good, don't worry too much, just do it. Ye Chen smiled. Their large formation shows that we are doing a good job. Hongjun smiled and said, that's true. There has never been a re-emergence in any of the planes that were knocked down like our Yanhuang plane. Fellow Taoist Ye Chen, What do you think about the current situation? The four-party alliance will definitely take action. Ye Chen pondered that the strong men from the Four Sides Alliance would definitely find a way to sneak into the Yanhuang Plain or the Red Flame Plain. Now the two plains are beginning to merge. After the merger, the plains will be strengthened, but it will also make it much easier for the enemy to enter the Red Flame Plain. If the battlefield is placed on the Red Flame Plain or the Yanhuang Plain, even if you win, you will pay a huge price. And when will the enemy come? Ye Chen secretly thought. Facing the enemy in the Yanhuang Plain or the Red Flame Plain, they will have a home field advantage, but the disadvantages are also obvious. Waiting for the enemy to come to your door, always on guard, and very passive. If he and Luo Hongjian keep staring at the Red Flame Plain of the Yanhuang Plain, it is very likely that the enemy will find out when they enter. But how long can they keep watching? Hundreds of years, thousands of years, 10,000 years. It's very tiring to keep staring. So what if they could stare at it for hundreds of thousands of years and millions of years? If the Lord of Light and they cultivate in seclusion for a while, 100 million years may pass. If they stare at it with all their strength for 100 million years, they will want to die. Fellow Daoist Hongjun, fellow Taoist Pangu, if we act weak, there may be more planes secretly supporting them. Ye Chen said in a deep voice. The Plane of Light and others have established a four-party alliance, but those who actually take action may be far more than the four planes. How many planes support the Quad Alliance depends on their reaction. Hongjun and Pangu nodded. Pangu frowned and said, fellow Taoist Ye Chen, do you want to take the initiative? The risk is not low. Ye Chen smiled, fellow Taoist Pangu, with my strength, taking the initiative, the risk is not particularly high. If you persist, you can continue to obtain powerful treasures by constantly signing in. If you beat Ye Chen to death, Ye Chen will not take the initiative to attack. That doesn't work now. The system was drained by him, and if he didn't take action, he would only be able to sign in once in a million years. For Ye Chen, this time was too long. He and Luo Hongjian do not practice, and are always vigilant to prevent enemy invasion. Ye Chen estimates that he will not be able to bear it for 100,000 years. If he takes the initiative, he can strengthen himself in battle. His system devours other systems and can gain powerful energy by devouring the corpses of other strong men. Hongjun said, fellow Taoist Ye Chen, you are the master of the plane. Your strength cannot be increased if you leave the Yanhuang Plain. It's like you're giving up your own advantages. How about, you guard the Yanhuang Plain, and we take some strong men with us? Ye Chen shook his head, that's inappropriate. None of you can adapt to the Plane of Light and other planes now. It's very dangerous for you to enter. Besides, you all only have the strength of the peak 9-star level. If you encounter a strong person at the 9-star perfection level, you may not be able to escape. Don't worry, I'm measured. I have experience in doing this kind of thing. Just protect the Yanhuang Plain. Hongjun and Pangu both had 9-star peak cultivations. They were guarding the Yanhuang Plain, so Ye Chen felt more at ease. As for the Xian Plain, Luo Hongjian is naturally guarding it. Okay. We are useless, alas. Hongjun and Pangu were helpless. Their 9-star peak strength is already very strong, but to take the initiative to deal with the four-party alliance, their strength is indeed not enough. Fellow Daoist Hongjun, fellow Taoist Pangu, I will let Hongjian go to the Red Flame Plain first, while Enlan and the others will practice here. Please take care of me. Ye Chen said. Hongjun and Pangu nodded. But in their opinion, Enlangxiu and the others didn't need much care. Enlangxiu and Zi Lanyan are now at the mid 9-star level, and Lu Qianqian, Shang Guanyan, and Luo Yudi are also at the early 9-star level. They also have a 9-star level system. Ye Chen arrived at the space treasure. Luo Hongjian and the other girls all looked at Ye Chen. Luo Hongjian and the others heard what Ye Chen and Hung Jun said just now. Husband, let me follow you. And Langxiu said, I have the strength of the mid-9-star stage. If I use the strengthening system, I can have the strength of the late 9-star stage in a short time. Zi Lanyan also said immediately, Husband, there is me. I also have the strength of the middle stage of the 9 stars. My thunder system can burst out the power of the late stage of the 9 stars. The system that Zi Lanyan got from Emperor Li Wen could originally burst out the attack of the perfect level of the 9 stars. Zi Lanyan is now only at the peak of the 8 stars, which limits the power of the system. Luo Hongjian said, Husband, how about you take them with you? There will be no problem for the time being with me in the Xian plain. The power they can burst out is still not weak. You have the Yanhuang Immortal City and other treasures. It is not easy for them to get into trouble in the Yanhuang Immortal City. Ye Chen frowned slightly. If we talk about strength, and Langxiu and Zi Lanyan are naturally very strong now. Under normal circumstances, they have the strength of the middle stage of the 9 stars, and they can definitely be called top powerhouses. Ye Chen is just worried that something will happen to them. Husband, I know you are worried about us, but you have to know that if you fall, it will be sooner or later that we will get into trouble. But as long as you don't fall, even if we die, I believe you will definitely find a way to save us. This is a plain war. We are your wives, and we are also the top powerhouses of the Xian plain. We have an obligation to stand up. And Langxiu said solemnly. Zi Lanyan said, Husband, and Lan is right. We will be safer with you. Your safety is the most important. Luo Hongjian and the others also spoke to persuade. Ye Chen nodded slightly, that's it, Hongjian, you go back to the Xian plain and make sure there are no problems with the Xian plain. Qian, Yan'er, Chang'e, you practice in seclusion here, and hurry up to improve your cultivation to 8-star perfection. Ye Chen said. Lu Qian, Shang Guanyan, Luo Yudi and the others are only at the late 8-star level now. With their talents, they can reach 8-star perfection. As for the 9-star level of cultivation, it depends on chance. They have good talents and good skills, but after all, the resources Ye Chen provides them are not as many as before. From the perfect 8-star to the early 9-star, it is also a big hurdle. Yes. Luo Hongjian and the others nodded. Ye Chen set off quickly. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Did. Chapter 638. Half a year later, Ye Chen arrived near the Abyss Plain. Among the Light Plain, Abyss Plain, Beast God Plain, and Senluo Plain, the only one without a plain master is the Abyss Plain. With the Emperor of Thunder and the Supreme of Deep Space captured by Ye Chen, and the Lord of the Skeleton Hall killed by Ye Chen, the Abyss Plain is a soft persimmon. In Langxiu and Zi Lanyan, they have also been to the Abyss Plain and have long adapted to the environment of the Abyss Plain. No one. Ye Chen muttered. There is no strong guard outside the Abyss Plain. However, this situation is not very strange. If there are not enough strong guards outside, it will only lead to self-destruction. The power of the Abyss Plain alone is not enough even if all the 8 or 9-star immortal level strong men in the Abyss Plain are guarding outside. Entering the Abyss Plain, Ye Chen appeared in the 9th level of the Abyss Plain. He went a long way and didn't see any powerful people. Ye Chen rarely saw powerful people of the 1 or 2-star immortal level. Husband, it seems that the Abyss Plain has given up the 9th level. It should be because they think that our top combat power is strong, but the mid-level combat power is not enough. And Langxiu transmitted the voice. She and Zi Lanyan were in the Yanhuang Immortal City in the Brahma Ring, but their consciousness was connected to Ye Chen and they could see what Ye Chen saw. Yeah. Ye Chen nodded slightly. He continued to search in the 9th level of the Abyss Plain for an hour or two, but still didn't see any powerful people. Half a day later, Ye Chen confirmed one thing. There were no powerful people in the 6th, 7th, and 8th levels. Only a few fearless 1 or 2-star immortal level people were taking action. It is also possible that they are not taking action, they are just alarms. They actually retreated to the 5th level, they are really cautious. Ye Chen muttered in his heart. At the 5th level, Ye Chen finally found a large number of powerful people. In the 5th level, the world is limited to the 5-star immortal level. Ye Chen's 9-star perfect level strength is only 5-star immortal level strength here. Xuanhuan Immortal City, the 9-star perfect level Tongtian Sword Bamboo, and the Pure World Sunflower are now only 5-star immortal level strength. And there are many 5-star immortal level strongmen in the Abyss Plane. Ye Chen went to the other 4 levels to check. It turns out that there will be many immortal level strongmen in the other levels, but now the number of immortal level strongmen in the other 4 levels is also very small. Gathered in the 5th level. It's not gathered together, but gathered in big cities. If any city is attacked, the surrounding cities will probably support it immediately. Husband, the Abyss Plane is completely in a war state. Zi Lanyan said. Yeah. Ye Chen nodded slightly. He has returned to the 5th level of the Abyss Plane, and he has entered a large city. Even if his strength was suppressed to the 5th level, Ye Chen's strength was the best in the 5th level, and he was not worried about being discovered. But as long as he took action, any problem with any strong man would likely arouse the vigilance of the Abyss Plane. Husband, be careful, I think there will be no less than 100 5-star immortal level strongmen in any of their strongholds. En Langxiu said. 100 5-star immortal level strongmen are equivalent to the strength of an 8-star immortal level strongman. In the 9th level, any of the 3 of Ye Chen could easily kill an 8-star immortal level figure. Now they definitely can't beat 100 5-star immortal level strongmen. Don't worry. Ye Chen said. Soon Ye Chen rented an ordinary cave. When the time came to the 2nd day, Xiaolu did not move, and its power could be fully released. 7-star immortal level. Ye Chen's eyes lit up. Xiaolu sent a voice message to Ye Chen, Master, in Yanhuang Immortal City, with my field covering you, your strength can barely reach the 7-star immortal level. You can't reach it outside Yanhuang Immortal City. You can only reach the 6-star immortal level. As long as Xiaolu moves, even if it's just a little bit, it will take a day to adapt to the environment again, which brings a lot of trouble. But as the Eternal World Tree, Xiaolu has the ability to influence the surrounding environment, which Ye Chen experienced a long time ago. Within the influence of Xiaolu, he can break through the limits of heaven and earth. You can only reach the 7-star immortal level in Yanhuang Immortal City, otherwise you can only reach the 6-star immortal level. If you cause trouble, the danger is not low. Ye Chen thought to himself. The main thing is that as long as Xiaolu moves, the benefits in this regard will be gone immediately. If you find that there is a problem here, many strong people in the Abyss Plane may come to surround and kill him. Even if you hide in Yanhuang Immortal City, how can the 7-star immortal level withstand it? A 5-fold gap in one level. A rough calculation shows that he can only tie with 25 ordinary 5-star immortals with his 7-star immortal strength. In this city alone, there should be hundreds of 5-star immortals. It is normal for 10 to 8 of them to be 5-star perfect. What should I do? Ling do you have any ideas? Ye Chen said in his mind. Ye Ling smiled and said, Host, don't you have the plane token of the Abyss Plane? Ye Chen frowned and said, I have this, but it doesn't recognize its master, so it can't increase my strength at all. The host can fuse the Eternal World Tree with it. This fusion is not a recognition of the master, and it cannot increase the strength, but it can make the strength be better displayed. Ye Linger said. Ye Chen was confused. Linger, can you fuse? Ye Linger laughed and said, Host, I couldn't do it before, and I couldn't do it before I was promoted, but now I have a way to fuse. Host, please return to the 9th level first. It didn't take long for Ye Chen to return to the 9th level of the abyss plane. His strength here was no longer suppressed, which made him feel much more comfortable. Host, you put the plane token inside the Eternal World Tree. Ye Linger said. Ye Chen nodded slightly, and the plane token quickly arrived in the trunk of the Eternal World Tree. But there was no reaction from either of them. Ye Linger began to communicate about plane tokens. I don't know what coercion and inducement methods she used. The next day, when Xiaoliu's strength recovered, the plane tokens began to slowly merge. The speed of this fusion is astonishing. Fortunately, Ye Chen had already put Xiaolu in the time cube, and Ye Chen immediately increased the acceleration of the time cube by 100 million times. At the current rate, the integration is estimated to take half a month. Ye Chen secretly thought. At this time, Ye Chen was completely able to accept it. Linger, you did a good job. Linger, after the fusion, what kind of strength will I have at the 5th level? Ye Chen said via voice transmission. Ye Linger said, Host, I don't know the specifics, but I think it should be able to have 8-star immortal strength. Ye Chen's eyes sparkled. If he could have the strength of the 8-star immortal level, the situation would be much better. And if he can possess the 8-star immortal strength, Xiaoliu himself may also have such strength. It's unclear whether Enlangxiu and Zi Lanyan can get such an increase. Half a month passed quickly. Fusion completed. Ye Chen returned to the 5th heaven. 1 day passed, and Xiaoliu's strength here was fully displayed. 8-star peak. A smile appeared on Ye Chen's face. Xiaolu, what kind of strength do you have now? Xiaoliu said, Master, inside the Yanhuang Immortal City, I am also at the peak of the 8 stars. Outside the Yanhuang Immortal City, I am in the middle of the 8 stars. The smile on Ye Chen's face became even stronger. Xiaolu, where are Enlan and Lan Yin? Xiaoliu said, Master can also make them stronger, but they will be much weaker. They can only be in the early stage of 8 stars in Yanhuang Eternal City. The peak of the 7 stars outside. Ye Chen's eyes lit up, this result was already better than he expected. It seems that Enlangxiu, Zi Lanyan, and the others can really help a lot if they follow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Dit. Chapter 639. Enlangxiu and Zi Lanyan are practicing now. Ye Chen immediately told them the good news. Husband, we are in the 5th heaven. It is very powerful to be able to reach the peak of 7 stars. It seems that we are right to follow. Zi Lanyan smiled sweetly. Enlangxiu said, Husband, what are you going to do? We have a great advantage here. It would be a waste if we just capture some people with low cultivation levels in the abyss. Zi Lanyan said, Enlan, but the strong men from other planes whose cultivation level exceeds the 5-star immortal level may not come here. Ye Chen smiled and said, how to attract them here is a technical job. You go practice first. Enlangxiu and Zi Lanyan nodded. They now only have 8-star peak cultivation. If they practice hard and accelerate time 200 million times, it is entirely possible for them to reach 8-star perfection in 10 years. Ye Chen arrived in front of Lei Yuan Emperor and Deep Sky Supreme. The two of them are now being held in the same place by Ye Chen. Both of them are playing chess with their cultivation levels imprisoned. Emperor Lei Yuan, Supreme of Deep Space, I have news to tell you. Ye Chen said softly. Emperor Lei Yuan and the others all looked at Ye Chen. Ye Chen said, the Light Plane, the Beast God Plane, the Senluo Plane, and your Abyss Plane form a 4-party alliance. The purpose is to target the Yanhuang Plane. Emperor Lei Yuan sneered, Ye Chen, is this possible? There was no such arrangement even at the peak of the Yanhuang Plain. The face of the Deep Sky Supreme changed slightly. Ye Chen, the Yanhuang Plain has a master, and the ranking of the Yanhuang Plain has skyrocketed. Ye Chen sat down and smiled lightly. Lei Yuan Emperor, look at you, you are stronger than Deep Space Supreme, but your IQ is not as good as him. Emperor Lei Yuan snorted. In fact, he also thought of this when he said the words. Thunder Abyss Emperor, Deep Sky Supreme, I have now arrived in the Abyss Plane. Do you want to advise you strong men in the Abyss Plane? Ye Chen smiled. Your influence in the Abyssal Plane is not weak. How about persuading them to surrender? The faces of Lei Yuan Emperor and Deep Sky Supreme were gloomy. The four-party alliance has been established, and the Abyssal Plane has definitely entered a state of war. They are afraid that it will be difficult to persuade the strong men in the Abyss Plane. If they couldn't show their value, Ye Chen might kill them. Emperor Lei Yuan said solemnly, Ye Chen, we will try our best to persuade them to prevent the Abyss Plane from getting involved in the war, but we may not succeed. Of course, even if the persuasion fails this time, it does not mean that it will fail in the future. If you have the upper hand, it will be much easier for us to persuade. Ye Chen said quietly, your persuasion must achieve one effect, that is, many of their strong men do not trust each other. If they don't surrender, you must get your men to do something. If you can't do it, don't blame me for being rude to you. Lei Yuan Emperor and Deep Sky Supreme nodded. People under the roof had to bow their heads, and they could only cooperate. How effective it will be is hard to say. Ye Chen, how do we persuade the other strong men? Deep Space Supreme said in a deep voice. Ye Chen said calmly, now that I am in Liwen City, there are no powerful people here, but there are still many people with ordinary cultivation. I will restore your cultivation, your aura can burst out with full strength, and you can shout to the outside world. With that said, Ye Chen released the restraint on Emperor Lei Yuan and their cultivation. Boom! Boom! Terrifying auras erupted from both Lei Yuan Emperor and Deep Sky Supreme, and the aura erupted by Lei Yuan Emperor reached the peak of 9 stars. Thunder City, as well as some creatures near Thunder City, were trembling. Many were suppressed by the tyrannical aura and fell to the ground. Emperor Lei Yuan tried to send a message, but the message failed. Attention all powerful people in Thunder City, I am the Emperor Lei Yuan. I request that all the strong men in Thunder Abyss City work hard to make the Abyss Plane withdraw from the four-party alliance. The rest of the powerful people in the Abyss Plane who support me, you should also take action, otherwise the Abyss Plane may be at risk of destruction. Emperor Lei Yuan said in a deep voice, and his voice spread far away. It's the city lord. Although there are no powerful experts in Liwen City, there are still 1 or 2 star immortal level experts, and they know the soul aura of Emperor Liwen. Say more. Ye Chen said softly. Emperor Liwen took a deep breath and said, the people in the secret hall of Liwen City take action. If the other powerful forces are stubborn, you will execute the beheading operation. The secret order for Umbu operations is. There are many killers trained by Lei Yuan Emperor in the Umbu of Lei Yuan City. Specialized in performing shady tasks. The secret order is confirmed, it's the leader. Notify the rest. The Umbu of Liwen City now had strong men in Liwen City, and they immediately spread the news. Attention everyone, I, the Deep Space Supreme, and the strong men who are loyal to me, will fully cooperate with the actions of Thunder Abyss City. The Abyss Supreme also spoke. He is also the top boss in the Abyss Plane, so naturally there are many strong people who are loyal to him. There was a faint smile on Ye Chen's face. If Emperor Lei Yuan and the others shout, there will definitely be some movement. It is probably impossible for the Abyss Plane to withdraw from the four-party alliance, but he will also act secretly. It didn't take long for the news to reach the 5th level of the Abyss Plane. Ye Chen also reached the 5th level of the Abyss Plane. The strength at the peak of 7 stars is not bad. Ye Chen muttered in his heart. Having just arrived, Xiaolu has not yet adapted to the environment here. Yechen and Xiaolu are at the peak of the 7 stars in Yanhuang Eternal City. Outside the Yanhuang Eternal City, in the middle of the 7 stars. This strength is already quite strong. After all, without very special means, the other 9-star immortal level experts at the 5th level would only have the perfect 5-star strength. A strong person in the mid 7-star stage is enough to kill a 5-star perfection level person instantly. Everyone must be more vigilant next time. Yechen has arrived in our abyss plane. In the city where Yechen was, a strong man warned the other strong men. He now only has 5-star perfect strength, but he is actually 8-star level. Yes, sir. The others said in unison. The leader of the strong men smiled and said, while everyone should be more vigilant, don't be too nervous. Yechen will have to kneel when he comes. If you can capture Yechen, you will be greatly rewarded. The other strong men nodded. They are not very nervous. There are now 100 or 200 strong men in their city with 5-star immortal strength. There are also many powerful people with 3-star and 4-star immortal strength. Okay, let's disperse. The leader of the strong men waved his hands. It's impossible for everyone to gather together all the time to take precautions. The other strong men left quickly. The immortal killing sword formation. Receive. Yechen is nearby, and his mid 7-star strength is much stronger than his opponent. The moment the Xuxian sword formation was deployed, the opponent was forcibly captured in the Yanhuang Eternal City. Having secured his target, Yechen left quickly without dealing with the others. What's going on? Why can't I contact the sect leader? It didn't take long for the city to explode. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Yechen was moving around, and some strong men loyal to Liwen Imperial City and Deep Space Supreme were also taking action, and many strong men kept getting into trouble. People are panicked. Some cities are obviously heavily guarded, but things still happen to strong people. It's not enough to disperse like this, we still have to gather together. That's right. Strong men from many cities began to gather. The more powerful people gather in a city, the lower the chance of problems. Half a year has passed. Most of the immortal level experts in the abyss plane gathered in a city. This is naturally what Yechen is happy to see. Xiaoliu doesn't move, they are the strongest. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Dit. Chapter 640. 8 9-star immortal powerhouses, about 68-star immortal powerhouses, and about 407-star immortal powerhouses. They are pretty good. Yechen muttered in his heart. The 9-star level expert was about the same as Yechen estimated. Emperor Lei Yuan and the others know how many powerful men there are at this level. There are many more 7-star and 8-star level experts than Yechen expected. This situation occurs naturally because some powerful people are very low-key. Even if their strength increases, they still hide their cultivation. The abyss plane is so big, and Emperor Lei Yuan has not become the master of the plane, so it is naturally impossible for him to fully understand the situation in the abyss plane. Now the powerful people from the entire abyss plane have gathered here, and it is dangerous to stay in other places. But they didn't know that Yechen asked Xiaolu to fuse the plane token. With Xiaolu set here, Yechen and Xiaolu can have peak 8-star strength, which is much more powerful than their current 5-star perfection. Time passed day by day, but Yechen didn't take action immediately. He has to find a way to attract some of the strong men from other planes. Even a 5 or 6-star immortal level expert. Some strong men have died in front of the abyss plane, and the news of his action here must have spread. According to the covenant, there must be strong people coming to help in the plane of light, the plane of beast god, and the plane of Senluo, otherwise what kind of alliance is it? Before I knew it, 2 months had passed. Reinforcements haven't arrived yet. Yechen's voice echoed throughout Abyss City. The city where a large number of powerful people gathered now was newly built, and the name was decided jointly by everyone. Everyone in the Abyss Plain, it seems that no reinforcements will come to help you. Even if reinforcements come, they will be massacred by me. Why are you in the Abyss Plain trapped in the quagmire of war? Why don't you surrender? Ye Chen's deep voice echoed throughout Abyss City. A large number of powerful people in Abyss City were alert. Many powerful people determined Ye Chen's location. But Ye Chen is now in the Yanhuang Eternal City. With his 8-star peak strength, it is simply impossible for those strong people to locate him. You should know that my system has the ability to summon, and it is entirely possible to summon the most powerful among you one by one. By the way, many of you strong men have been secretly persuaded to surrender by me and Emperor Lei Yuan. You can't hold on. Ye Chen said again. The expressions of many powerful men in Abyss City changed. Nowadays, they have gathered a large number of powerful people. There are many powerful people with 5-star strength. They do not believe that they will be summoned away. But it is entirely possible that some strong men were secretly persuaded to surrender. A strong fortress may gradually erode and eventually collapse from within. What do you think? The crazy Python Heavenly Lord in Abyss City said in a deep voice. With his mid-9-star cultivation, he is now one of the most powerful men in Abyss City. Phantom Tianzun, another strong man in the mid-9-star stage in Abyss City, said, "We have to spread the news. We have to spread the news about the situation here. Otherwise, even if we can hold on, we may suffer huge losses, while the Light Plane, Beast God Plane, and Senluo Plane will not suffer any losses." Why? The other strong men spoke one after another. Most people naturally agree, and they will be much safer this way. Crazy Python Tianzun frowned and said, Ye Chen may have adopted the tactic of encirclement and reinforcements, surrounding us and attacking those who came to support us. Phantom Heavenly Lord said, can't they send people here safely from the 3 planes? Publish it and make people laugh. We can tell them that if they don't support us, we won't be able to sustain the heavy losses, and we may choose to surrender and let them figure it out. The true form of the Phantom Lord is the Grimace poisonous spider, and she is female. Among the strong men captured by Ye Chen earlier, there was her son. She was rather annoyed by the current situation. Crazy Python Tianzun glanced at all the powerful men present. Let's vote. The results of the vote will be out soon. Most people agree. Spread the word. Crazy Python Tianzun ordered an 8-star immortal level expert. He has a communication system. Now the ability in the 5th level system has been reduced, and it is impossible to communicate very far, but it can be done to contact strong people who are relatively close to the Abyss Plane. The Abyss Plane has such an arrangement. We have all entered a state of war, and it would be impossible without this consideration. It didn't take long for the news to reach Afra's ears. Afra and many other powerful people are now not far from the Abyss Plane. They got the news that they came over, but they did not enter the Abyss Plane immediately. Everyone, what does Ye Chen mean? Are we going to gather around the place for reinforcements? But if many of us strong men go there together, he shouldn't be able to defeat us. Afra said in a deep voice. She is now in a large hall, filled with 9-star immortal level experts. 40 in total. Among them, there are 18 9-star level experts from the Light Plane, 12 from the Beast God Plane, and 10 from the Senluo Plane. There are also many 8-star experts who came with them. The lineup is extremely scary. Ranked 5th in the Beast God Plane, the strong man who came over was named Lord Tiger Devourer. He used to be at the peak of the 9 stars, but now has the full strength of the 9 stars. Entering a state of war, he received a powerful treasure from the master of the Beast God Plane. Venerable Tiger Eater said, I don't think we are necessarily encircling the area. Ye Chen probably wants to lure us here and set the battlefield here. If the battlefield is in the Yanhuang Plain, the Yanhuang Plain is severely damaged. In our other 3 planes, Yechen has not adapted to the environment at all. Another strong man said, there is another possibility. Yechen deliberately led a large number of our strong men here, and he went to our plane. Everyone spoke up. The view of the tiger devourer was recognized by most of the strong men. They didn't believe that Yechen would enter their plane. Although they dispatched many strong men, there were still many strong men inside the plane. The Lord of Light and others would not be dispatched easily. If Yechen entered their planes, he might be easily captured. Will Yechen take such a risk? Afra said, fellow deists, it seems that everyone basically agrees with Yechen's view that this place is a battlefield, so do we support him? Hu Shizun said, we have brought a large number of 5-star immortal and 6-star immortal masters here, and we can send them to the 5th heaven. Then they will gather and go to Abyss City. At present, many masters in Abyss City do not trust each other, and they are worried that the other side has been persuaded to surrender by Lei Yuan Emperor Zun and others, and our people cannot be persuaded to surrender. The other masters nodded. Afra said, then let's do it. We can't underestimate Yechen. Send out all the 5-star immortal and 6-star immortal masters. Okay. Agree. The others agreed. In their opinion, if they had targeted Yechen with all their strength early on, how could they have reached this situation today? It actually improved Yechen's strength, and the Yanhuang plane also improved. Afra said, there is another thing. Some of you have not adapted to the environment of the Abyss plane. This time you enter, you just adapt well. A few masters nodded. Most of them have entered the Abyss plane. Let's go. It wasn't long before Afra and the others gathered near the Abyss plane. They didn't encounter any trouble. Yechen didn't snipe them outside the Abyss plane at all. It seems that Tiger Devouring Heavenly Venerable's view is correct. Yechen is trying to attract us here and set the battlefield in the Abyss plane. You enter my space treasure first. Afra said. The rest of the strong men soon arrived in Afra's space treasure. Afra entered the Abyss plane and appeared on the 9th level of the Abyss plane. Tiger Devouring Heavenly Venerable and the others appeared. Let all the 5-star immortal and 6-star immortal characters adapt to the environment here. Afra said. Tiger Devouring Heavenly Venerable and the others nodded.